You're listening to Lunch with the Finance Bunch, bringing money talk you can understand. Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to Lunch with the Finance Bunch. I'm your host, Ms. Charlene, and I have my co-host over there, DJ Bander. How you doing?
I'm doing great, Charlene. How are you feeling today?
I'm doing really, really well. So today, we are going to have a wonderful guest in the studio with us. But beforehand, we wanted to talk a little bit about some of the things that people struggle with that we've heard,
Absolutely,
right?
yeah.
And so that'll lead right into our guest. So what we're going to talk about today is the kind of resilience and fortitude it takes to make it. You know, a lot of times people think success is wrapped around just being successful. They think that success just means, you know, what you see on Instagram, right? And it's not that. So let's talk about it.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, it's funny when we were doing the show and you were telling me the background on our guest, on Jamaal, was really like very inspiring story.
Yes.
You know, and I think it's something that I could really relate to in the sense of, you know, a lot of times you find success in a route in a lane that's a little different than you originally planned.
Right.
And you have to go through a lot of setbacks to get to that point.
Yes.
And I think what separates the people who really make it in their industries versus the people who kind of get frozen up are the people who adjust and allow, you know, their expectations to change a little bit as opposed to being super caught up in things have to work out a specific way.
Absolutely. And same thing in my life. You know, some things that I saw or thought were setbacks, but what they weren't setbacks, they were really setups for future success.
Yeah.
You know, so we should look at it that way. Everything we think is going to be our career may not be our career. It may be a stepping stone to the career that was really meant for us to have.
Absolutely.
You know, so we should look at it that way and be patient with ourselves because everything is a learning process.
Absolutely.
You know? And we have to fail our way to success, right?
No, absolutely. And we talk a lot on the show about, you know, our goal, you know, as hosts is to help the average listener understand their finances, to get themselves in more order. And a big part of that is, you know, focusing on long-term and, you know, sticking with not only your values, but your discipline, even when things aren't always up. You know, you're going to have rainy days, you're going to have sunny days. And the people who succeed and the people who move ahead in life are the people who are able to kind of look at it from an objective, you know, bird's eye view.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I agree with that 100%. You know, success is not one-dimensional.
That's right.
You know, and I think overall, you know, when we look at success and we talk about financial success, you know, some of the things that, you know, we may not think about is the fact that, you know, every success has compartments. And so does your financial success. It has compartments. And so when you look at it that way, we have to start with a level of discipline that will allow us to feed into those different compartments.
Yes.
When we get to that level of maturity in our financial picture, right?
Right.
So we're going to have our guest come out, and his name is Jamaal Lewis. And I really, I want everyone to know that this is my second interview with Jamaal. His first interview, I was listening to it on the way up here, was amazing. There were so many nuggets in it. And to see the growth that he's had just from that interview to this one is amazing. So we're going to do that. We're going to bring him in. Let's talk to Jamaal about all the success he's having. How about that?
Sounds like a good plan.
Well, we're back in the studio with Jamaal Lewis. How you doing?
I'm doing amazing.
You know what? I just have to introduce you the correct way because the last time you were on the show, you had accolades, but now you have accolades. So I just want to just tell some of our guests, our audience, exactly what you've been up to. Just a little bit of it. So you're the CEO of Stay Blessed Clothing Line.
Correct.
You're a model, an actor, and 1-star Golden Circle Crystal Executive with
I'm
gonna need some of that.
So I'm going to need to talk to you about that because that's a multiple stream of income that people don't know about.
Correct.
So we'll talk about that. And then now your accomplishments so far in 2019.
Let's go.
Filmed your first leading role in a movie called Poles.
That's right.
Landed your first co-starring role in a BET series coming out with Lauren London.
Yep.
Nice.
Wow. Will be the face of the print campaign for the video game Call of Duty.
That's my thing right there.
Right? Yes.
I got to be honest. When I shot that, I didn't even know what it was. I had to go home and Google it. I was like, what's Call of Duty? I'm not a gamer.
So you're one of the characters in that?
No, not the characters. It's going to be for the print campaign.
For the
so
print
it's gonna be
campaign.
Times Square and on the buses.
Oh, that's popping,
Yeah.
I like
that
it.
is so cool.
I like that.
And so you also got introduced to Isogenics.
That is correct.
And within 2 months, reached the highest rank of leadership in that program.
Glory to God.
So we got to talk about that. You relaunched Stay Blessed clothing line, and we talked about that a little bit on the phone.
That's right.
And so that's going to have to be a whole separate interview, but we're going to talk about that a little bit too.
That's my baby.
Right, because that needs its own focus. And then you've appeared in the BMW commercial, official body cam for EA Sports.
That's right.
Oh my goodness.
It's active.
Wow. Okay, and then
busy.
appears in a National Boss commercial starring Aaron Rodgers,
Bose,
and will
right?
be appearing in Basketball Wives, the 8th season.
Yep.
We got to talk about that.
Let's go.
Okay.
Can I ask a favor real quick before we get started? Can I pray real quick? Is that okay? With everybody?
Yes,
course, no problem.
definitely, definitely.
Dear Heavenly Father, in this moment, I just want to thank you and praise you. Father God, I just thank you for all the people in this room. Just continue to uplift us. Father God, I pray that this time just be used to glorify your name, and we just thank you and praise you for the miracles and the blessings that are coming. In your heavenly name I pray. Amen. Let's go.
Amen.
I like that.
Okay.
Let's get it.
One of my favorite characteristics that you have is your unrelenting faith in God.
I'm nothing without him.
Okay? So let's get started with these questions, Jamaal. So during our last interview, we talked about how you grew up.
That's right.
And you always refer back to you're still that kid inside, right?
Yep.
And so, we know from the first interview that, you were like this overweight kid and you weren't that tall.
At
right,
all.
at all.
I was a baby.
So why don't you tell us just briefly how that happened?
Yeah, I think it was due to my parents feeding me a lot of bratwurst when I was growing up. I had a thing for bratwurst.
Gotcha.
But I thought my claim to fame would be, my dad has an old soul.
Okay.
So I wanted to play the saxophone and kind of go that route. And when I walked into the band room, the band teacher looked at me and he said, "I'll be right back." Then he went to the back and he grabbed a tuba. And I ended up being the short, overweight kid that played the tuba. So that kind of molded the characteristics of my personality, being that I got picked on and I saw how people treated, people that didn't fit in so much.
Right.
So when I hit my growth spurt, I just always kept that in the back of my head, and it's just it stuck with me to this day. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And then,
That's cool.
in our very first conversation, I don't know if you remember this or not, but the first time you came on the show, I actually wanted to talk to you first because I wanted to know, who's this football player, ex-football player who has a clothing line who we're going to have on the show. Who is he? And, I asked you, I said, why do you want to be on the show? And the first thing you said was, I want to be an encouragement to people who think that they only have one lot in life, and I want to encourage them to know that life can go on after football. And I was so impressed by that. And, just when you think your success is in one area and you realize it just prepares you to be successful somewhere else. So I wanted to thank you for that because
Definitely.
it made me really excited and anticipating having you on the first time. So now, growing up, you were this kid who played the tuba, and then you grew up and you started playing football in high school, right?
Uh-huh.
And then you transitioned from high school to college football. So could you take us through that just a little bit so we'll have a background for those who haven't heard your story?
Yeah, definitely. It was something that just came naturally to me once I hit the growth spurt, and I just kind of ran with it.
Mm-hmm.
At the time, I was coming from a small town, Colorado Springs, and I went to Arizona State University, which was the number one party school at the time. So that was a learning experience for me, being out of the home, for the first time. But I think it's part of my testimony because I can relate to a lot of people. Mm-hmm. Because during that football time, I got big-headed. My ego took over me. Yeah. And it was almost like I transformed from the little short fat kid to who everybody called J. Lou, which I can't stand that name anymore. Some people still see me, they're like, J. Lou, and I'm like, run. Like, no. But it was a transition, and it was a learning experience because I didn't know how to deal with that attention and the limelight and stuff like that. And I mean, I ate it up. And in the moment, I thought, I'm just living my life. Mm-hmm. But I was being a really bad person, and not so to speak, disrespecting people, but just, I would say, with my walk in faith and following God and what I was supposed to be doing with my God-given talents. So with that being said, I got humbled. I had it taken away from me. And that's kind of when I went into the real dark period of my life with no direction. I didn't know where to go. And it was like a downward spiral. And, I was out in the clubs every night and I was living that lifestyle. And I had all the friends in the world. I was the one that was in the club popping bottles. Woo, you couldn't tell me anything. And then the money kind of dwindled away and then the friends dwindled away. And I just hit rock bottom.
That's how it goes.
Yeah.
That's right.
And it was like when I hit that rock bottom, I'll never forget this. His name is Lex, one of the only friends that I had left at the time. He just, man, like takes my breath away talking about it. But he walked up to me and he grabbed me by my shoulder and he was like, man, you're blessed. And he was like, stay that way.
Yeah.
Held you down.
And I was like, stay blessed. And when that happened, it was just like this light went on. Just there was hope. I didn't know what I was going to do with it at the time, but it was just kind of like I had purpose in my life. And whatever happened, I knew that every day I was just going to stay blessed.
Absolutely, yeah.
I like that. That's smooth.
Isn't that cool?
Yeah. And
Bam, on my chest. Peace.
Stay blessed.
So that's like
Absolutely.
so that like is a perfect transition. So basically, so in that sense, that period of your life, which got you to start your clothing line, would you say that that was one of the big motivators for you moving forward? And what other aspects of your life and the things you've built since you started Stay Blessed, that what are those things that help you stay motivated?
I think just the term "stay blessed," even before the clothing line, because the clothing line didn't actually happen until maybe a year and a half later, after the message really impacted me. And the girl that I was dating at the time, she was the one. She was like, "You should try modeling." And when she told me that, I was like,
I'm a football player. Hello.
"Excuse me, yeah, like, you don't go from knocking heads to wearing baby oil at photo shoots." It just wasn't heard of at the time. But she actually helped me get my first audition, and I booked it, and it was a national commercial. I literally stood at a pool with baby oil on all day. They fed me great. And then I got the check a couple weeks later and I was like, okay, I'm going to model. So I kind of ran with it.
For sure.
And when I started modeling, this is when on Facebook I would post something and I would say, hey, I have an audition, or just, hey, I booked something. And I would just write "Stay Blessed," kind of as like a out tag. And you can imagine when I first wrote it, "Stay Blessed," it was like there was people that I had just been in the club with, a month ago or whatever, and they'd be like, what is he talking about, stay blessed? Like, we were just getting it cracking.
Right.
So it didn't start to impact people right away. It was the consistency over the years that it kind of built the message.
I like that. And I know that, nutrition's a big part of your life. I'm into that too. I love doing my powders and all that stuff in the morning. I really like that. And so tell us a little bit about what partnerships you've had. I know you've got this thing with Asiagenesis. We're going to get into that.
Oh, man.
But tell us about, have you ever had other things going on in the nutrition space in terms of partnerships, different powders, proteins, things you've worked with, different companies? Yeah,
definitely. I was partnered with Sheer Strength Labs for a while, and it was an amazing relationship. Shout out to Sheer Strength. They took really good care of me.
Nice.
But when Isagenix came into my life, which it actually came into my life by the way of Jill Bowman, who I did a photo shoot for in Arizona, this is like it's like my healthcare. So it's not just like a ramp me up so I can run through a wall during a workout. This is like a lifestyle. I wake up with it and I go to sleep with it. So I think one of the biggest things for me is not necessarily the being in shape part of it, because I have to stay that way for photo shoots. Like someone can call tomorrow and be like, hey, we need you tomorrow for a shoot.
Right.
So for me, it was just my natural energy levels, not the ups and downs. And then with that being said, being able to sleep at night. So when I lay down at night, I don't want to be like, oh, I got to do this and do that. So this just gives you the ability to just be like,
oh, nice,
turn it off.
I like that. I like that. Yeah,
That's
definitely.
cool. Now, you have got so much going on, like with your career now, because you are doing a lot in the way of film, right? With shows and things like that. So I really want to talk a little bit about that. And so this role with Lauren London on BET, how did that come about?
Well, last time I came in here, I was representing myself. So it's all self-submissions, and I broke down how I do 250 a day, 1,000 a week, 4,000 a month, and you're going to get a million no's, but you'll get those couple yeses. So I was blessed to sign with an agency, Elevate Talent Agency out in Beverly Hills, and this was the second audition that they got me. And so when they get you these auditions, you go and you audition, and they didn't tell me what it was.
Right.
They can't, because it's under extreme non-disclosure. I still can't even say the name of the show. I want to, but it's got a lot of big names in it. And I showed up to set, and they had kind of the call sheet, and I was reading the names, and I was like, oh God, like, this is serious.
Right.
You know what I mean? And so then they had my sides and everything waiting there. So I just got to studying. And it was just a real surreal moment, just with all the bookings that I've, done, and the background work and the extra work and stuff like that. And then I actually was a stand-in for Saronis on Insecure. And he was my other co-star. So I went from being his stand-in on Insecure to actually getting to run lines with him, which was cool. Wow. It was so cool. Yeah.
That is so cool.
It was a little nerve-wracking at first because, Lauren London, she's a very beautiful woman. Very beautiful woman.
So it was just a little nerve-wracking.
It was like, how you doing? Okay. But she's cool. She's real down to earth. She's easy to work with. And it was just a good vibe. So it's going to turn out good.
Because I saw it on Instagram and I was like, what is Jamaal up to now?
Moving.
Right?
That's it.
Gotta do it.
That is so good. So, DJ Bander, what question did you have for Jamaal?
Well, I mean, so many. I mean, one thing I love that you talk about, stay blessed, that it was based on, this change and this pivot that's happened in your life. And I know a lot of our listeners are in places too where they're trying to get their own companies going. Mm-hmm. They're trying to get their, future sort of locked in. And they're trying to think about, how do I get this going? I don't have a lot of money. I don't have a lot of investment. Were you able to get capital? What happened in terms of what did you put together to make Stay Blessed a reality?
When I started, I took every penny that I had out of my pocket, which wasn't even that much. Right. But the first thing that I did was, it's by the grace of God that I acquired it, but I actually owned the term Stay Blessed. So I went and trademarked it.
Nice.
Which I don't even know how it was available. But
and I tell people all the time, copyright, understanding profits is understanding copyright law.
That's right.
Because, I had a website, a URL that I didn't even use anymore, and I was offered money from some Chinese company. Yeah. And so you never know, anything that you think is a good idea, that is your brand, copyrighted, trademark, you never know. Somebody could come with a bag 3 years later for that thing you don't even care about anymore.
Yep,
right.
That's
exactly.
it.
Or you might have an idea for it after 3 to 5 years and you want to go back to it and it's available for you.
Yep.
So you leveraged your capital, what capital you had left, and then what happened?
And then I went to school for digital art, so I sat down and I designed the logo and all that stuff by myself.
So that's your design?
Yeah, I did everything.
Cold.
Yeah.
And I mean, it was a lot of back and forth with the girl that I was dating at the time. We got in a lot of arguments because I was like, no, pick that one. No, pick that one. You know what I mean? Yeah. But at the end of the day, I was thinking about it. And it's like, if you think about Nike, the person who created the Nike swoosh, they couldn't have possibly thought that was dope when they made it. It's the name kind of makes the logo. You know what I mean? So it's kind of like,
they think it's dope when they get their monthly, when the mail money coming in.
Exactly. Yeah.
So, you know what I'm saying?
I just got to the point where I was like, okay, this looks good, but it's going to be the meaning behind it more than the actual logo. The logo stick if the meaning's there.
Especially when people connect your story.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a big part of it, you know, is having a personal story that people attach themselves to.
Amen.
Now, in your business let's stick with Stay Blessed. I know this your baby.
Whew.
I know it's your baby.
My purpose.
Right.
Yep.
And so I also noticed on Instagram, you have a lot of people that you take pictures of or are allowed to take pictures in your brand. And it's very relatable because they're everyday people, some of them are jocks, some aren't, some are just, average people. What made you decide to do it that way versus going with more of a celebrity look? Because you have access to celebrities.
I can't even tell you that was the route because that's what got me in trouble. And
okay.
That was part of my testimony is I brought somebody into the company who I leveraged their celebrity book for Stay Blessed, which, I mean, it was a good look for a little bit, but it ended up getting me in trouble. And that's why I had to actually shelf it for a couple years.
Right.
But it was always the people's brand. I always made sure that, the people are recognized. It's not about what you look like, what race you are, what color you are. It's just about bringing a culture together and realizing that we're all blessed. So the way that I would get most of the content and the way that I would be able to post every single day for 2 years with the website not being up and no sales was I wake up every morning and I go through the hashtag Stay Blessed and I just scroll until I go cross-eyed. Just scroll, screenshot and save it. Screenshot, then when I see a shirt. And that's how I kept the content going. So I made it about the people.
I like that.
Yeah, yes. And then it's cool because, they're not expecting to get, a shout-out on the Stay Blessed page, but it's just, it would do that.
Wow, that's cool. Yeah. And you were able to keep the brand alive for 2 years. 2 years. Without selling a T-shirt? Not
a single T-shirt. I had my legal team told me that I couldn't show that, I was making any profit during that period, which I think it had to be the hardest point in my life thus far, even going through my dark period that I went through, because in my head it was like, I'm doing the work of the Lord.
Right.
Why would this happen? And I was thinking like that at the beginning instead of maybe halfway through the year, I just kind of flipped my mindset to say, okay, what's the lesson in this? What's the lesson in this? What's the lesson in this? And I started to see. And even though it dragged out, it just really tested my faith, and it showed me that this is what I'm all about. This is what it's supposed to be. So when everything got lifted, it's like, okay, it's game time. Let's go.
Right. Now, you were on the show a year ago.
Yep.
Almost exactly a year ago.
It was. It just popped up in my feed.
It was a year ago.
Yep.
And, you were talking about, okay, I'm going to relaunch my brand. I finally am released to relaunch the brand.
Yep.
And so now you've had the ability to nurture this baby for a year now. So where are you with it now?
Over that 2 years, I have to say probably the biggest blessing in my life has to be, I call her my blessings specialist.
Yes.
She's actually my business partner who you guys will get to meet at some point in time, but she's out in Hawaii. And she specializes in business solutions, which I suck at. I'm more of the visionary, you know what I mean? Like I'll get this thing visually aesthetically pleasing. Yeah. But from the business standpoint, I was just kind of like, so she helped me actually build a solid foundation business-wise, because when I first started, I was doing everything. I was bagging, tagging, shipping, stamping, you name it. And
we talk about that a lot in the show about how important it is to have somebody on your team,
have a team
who focuses on your weaknesses. Like when everybody in your team has a strength that is one of your weaknesses, you're winning.
Yep,
that's
exactly.
And so if you were to look back and you were to speak to, say, either a young Jamaal or a young guy coming up and telling you, hey, I got this great idea and I'm trying to start this business, what would you say to them? What would you say to them as far as what they can do to take things to the next step?
Just me being me, I would say pray on everything. Mm-hmm. That's what I do now is I pray on everything, but take more calculated steps. I'm more of just like a spontaneous, let's go kind of person.
Right.
And that's okay in life. But from a business standpoint,
gotta have effective game plan.
Yeah, you gotta have a game plan. Right. And I'm not so much of a plan. I'm learning how to plan.
Right.
And then you have to understand there's more people involved than just you. Whereas in life, it's just you. So if you want to do something spontaneously, it's going to generally just affect you, unless you're doing something crazy. You know what I mean?
Right.
But from a business standpoint, it's like you have to communicate
exactly
and understand that everyone's in it together.
Right. So now, Stay Blessed has become one of your sources of income.
Yes.
Right. One of your sources. But you have commercials. And you have a television show now. And you also did the Super Bowl commercial. How was that? What was that about? What was that like?
Well, they had me booked as Tony Gonzalez's stunt double.
Okay.
Which Tony Gonzalez, like people used to call me Baby Tony Gonzalez when I was playing tight end in college. So it was a surreal moment. It wasn't not an idolized moment, but I was like, yes, I get to meet this dude. Like, this is my hero.
Right.
You know what I mean? Just good dude. And I got to meet him, and we ran through. Like, I got to run through and tell him what he was going to do, which was cool. And then they ended up actually keeping me on for more of the commercial because they wanted to feature me in it. And I actually got featured in it, which wasn't planned on, but I was like, okay, cool.
Nice. So it seems to me like I was telling DJ Bandra when we were talking about you that I was excited to have you on the show because I think what you exemplify is resilience and sustainability. And in interviewing again, I really want our audience to understand that you can come back from anything if you focus, right? And so I read a book, I can't remember which one it was in, and it was talking about when you're in that space between the success you knew and the success that's waiting for you, and you're in that space in between, right? And what can happen there because you don't know where you're going. So if there's someone in the audience that's listening to this and they're in that space and they want to so greatly believe that they can go from that fame or what they knew as being their fame to what their next fame is going to be, and they're in that space, what would you say to them?
Embrace it. I think that's the biggest part of the journey, because when I had football stripped away from me,
yes,
and when I was at that rock bottom, it wasn't until I really embraced it and was thankful for where I was at. Because when I was where I was at, I wasn't thankful. I was just kind of going. Nobody could tell me anything. So it's learning to appreciate those moments that will help you get to wherever you're going, regardless of what you're doing, easier, rather than if you're sitting in that moment and you're feeling bad for yourself and sorry for yourself. It's just all negative thoughts that are going to keep you down there.
That's true.
But if you can embrace it and just say, okay, look, listen, there's nowhere else to go but up. It's just how fast do we want to go up?
Yeah, that's lit.
Yeah.
So the last question I have for you is really, because it kind of made me interested when I peeped your profile, was like, what's a day in the life for Jamaal? Like, you know, even just the big steps of the day. Like, how do you start your routine? What time are you up, and what do you do first?
I wake up and I drink my isogenics.
Right, we already know.
Stamp it. But that's first and foremost. And then it varies from day to day. I'll do a photo shoot, or I'll be doing a photo shoot, or it's just.
Is it just a liquid, or is it a powder?
This is just all natural superfoods. This is my fruits, so
right.
it's like my vitamins.
Yeah, so I do Shakeology by Beachbody everywhere. Similar, it's superfood powder. So you blend it and then you just like that.
Yeah, and then they have shakes too, but like for this, it's just my vitamins that I get for during the day.
Yeah,
yeah.
You just keep it with you.
Yep.
Okay, then what?
What do I do during my day?
Yeah, then what? Then after that,
I think that's the beautiful thing about it, because I'm not a 9 to 5 guy. You know what I mean? So it's like I couldn't do that. So it's like one day I'll do a shoot. Like I just did a shoot for a drink company at a pool, and then the next day you're shooting Call of Duty, and the next day
that's cool.
It varies. It's amazing, and it keeps me on my toes, and it keeps me excited, and
that's what's up.
Yeah. That is so cool. Well, you know what? We'll be right back with more from Jamaal Lewis, Mr. Lewis, as he is on Instagram, on one of his Instagram pages. That's right. And we'll be right back with more encouraging words from Mr. Lewis. How's that?
Amen.
We'll be right back. This is Ms. Charlene on Lunch with the Finance Function. We're back in the studio with Jamaal Lewis and my co-host over there, DJ Bander. And we've been talking about Jamaal's journey and how he's arrived at the level of success he's at now. And so we want to continue that conversation with you, Jamaal. And I know your clothing line is a big deal. And when we left off, we were talking about that. And so I want to jump back into that. Stay Blessed, the clothing line. And, you know, does a day in the life of Jamaal look like, right? And it's busy, right? So I want to stay with Stay Blessed for a minute. And I want to know, like, where do you see it going? Where do you see it going? You know where you're at now. Where do you see it going?
In all honesty, it's going to take over. It's going to shift the culture of the world. I think there's such a negative movement going on in the world.
There really is.
Yeah.
And there needs to be a positive one.
Yes.
And I feel like it just needs the right positivity to really change it. Something that's, relevant and cool and hip and can touch all age groups. I remember when I first started, somebody asked me, like, what's your target market?
Right.
And I was going to just hop out and say something, but then I stepped back and thought, and I was like, my target market is everyone. Like, legitimately everyone. We have stuff for babies and all kind of stuff. So some exciting news is we just landed our first wholesale account.
Yay!
With juice bars in LA Fitness.
Oh, nice.
Which is crazy, yeah.
That's major.
They're going to start cool. They're going to start doing it. Shout out to Alan. He's opening, or he purchased a bunch of juice bars in Arizona, which is funny because it kind of came back full circle.
Full circle back to your
right.
days.
Back
exactly.
to Arizona, yeah. So I was like, crazy. I see you, God. I see you working. So yeah, that's going to be going up here within the next month, and we'll have stuff in stores. And I mean, that's the main, not the main start, but that's the first start to.
Right. So do you see it as being a lifestyle brand?
Yes, it is a lifestyle brand. But we've had people reach out to us that want to make dog clothes, and people want to make jewelry and shoes. And
yes.
So over the years, we've just been compiling potential partnerships, and now it's just all about not spontaneous, but strategic.
Strategic,
right now.
Yeah, because I could totally see jewelry.
Because right now I'm like,
right.
But slow down.
Right.
For sure. And so tell us a little bit about how, I think a lot of times, people love having lots of different ideas and they want to pursue different things. But I always tell people who hit me up for advice on running business, like, I get, distracted, or like, I get, I can't stay focused. So how do you avoid kind of like getting all like ADD about all these different ventures you have? Because you have a lot of different things going on. So what do you have somebody, like you said, you have a business partner? Do you have an organizational method? Because I think one thing that's important for people to understand success is also like not biting off more you can chew, and actually finishing each task at a time, and not, being too distracted.
I think you hit it right on the head, because my organization, my full organization to basically my life is, I call her Pep. I'm Iron Man. She's Pep. Her name is Tiffany Ahuna. Shout out. But she's my glue. She holds me together. She's in Hawaii. And it was like when we first met, she was an angry customer.
Yes, please tell us that story.
Really? That's so funny.
Yeah, for Stay Blessed. She had ordered a shirt. And like I said, I was doing everything, the ins and outs of Stay Blessed. So I had everything up on the website. I didn't even have it in stock.
Got it.
So it was all pre-orders. So I didn't have a disclaimer on the website. So people would put in the site. I would put in one order a week, which would take a week for the manufacturer to make in Arizona. Then he would ship it to me 2 or 3 more days. Then I would have to do everything. Then I would ship it. So by the time somebody got their stuff, it was almost a month later.
Got it.
So she was like, you look like a big company. And she kind of came at me and she was like, what are you doing over there? Like, where's my I just ordered a shirt. And that was kind of how we hit off the relationship. And then she started looking at my Instagram, and she's like, because I do model which there's a very fine line, and I have to keep it clean because, you know, it's tricky because modeling is kind of like you're labeled as a sex symbol, but it's like I'm representing the Lord. And I used to get into a moral fiber fight with myself all the time about some of my bookings. Like, God, why do you have me on this Big Sean music video? Like, what am I doing on this music video? Interesting. But it's those case scenarios where it's like people need to see this message.
That's well, they say the Lord works in mysterious ways, right?
Yeah, and you got to light up the darkness. And the darkness, unfortunately, it's in the industry. So I feel like that's why I'm kind of being implanted into some of the bookings.
Well, I think we all deal with that to a degree. Being in entertainment on any level is like a balance, you know, of, you know, opportunities and your values and keeping everything in check, right?
Amen. Yep.
So, you know.
But she's my, but so come full circle with the business solutions and stuff. It got to the point where she was managing my modeling stuff. She was setting up, I mean, just the ins and outs. She would send me a reminder, hey, you have an audition. I'm just like, she's the truth.
Right.
So she holds me together.
That's so cool.
That's awesome. So tell us a little bit about, I know you're doing stuff for electronic arts. You have done stuff in the past. I'm actually, you know, a little closet gamer myself.
Yeah.
So I like seeing, when you said the Call of Duty, that's my favorite game. So I was like, okay, right there, you know what I'm saying? So, but tell us a little bit about, because I think people are interested in this, and it's a really growing field. So you do body scans for EA, so they use your physique for different characters and stuff like that. How was that experience for you?
So the body scan was it was pretty fast, but I'll be one of the creative players. So like how they put together a player. So that's that. But the Call of Duty thing, this was like real life. Like this was like it was a week-long shoot.
Did they put the sensors all over you?
No, that's because
you're not in the game. You're the billboard.
The billboard stuff.
Right.
So they brought in actual Marine Corps guys and like trained us on how to hold a gun,
like to look proper.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, actual situations.
You got to know actually how to look like Army dudes.
Yeah. And so after the training, you know, some of the guys were kind of timid, but I'm like, let's do this. Like, if we're gonna make this look real. And so they had all these scenarios where they would set us outside of a room, and they'd be like, okay, one of your guys is being held captive in there. You guys have to work as a team to go in there and extract him.
Oh, that's lit. I'd love doing that.
Man, and they had cameras set up all over the place. And so what you would do is, the first time they yelled action on me, I was the lead man going into the room. And they yelled action, and they were thinking I was going to open the door or something. But I'm like, I'm going to get my guy.
Right.
So I kicked the door off the hinge and just rushed in. And they're like, God, like, chill out.
Man went in.
Like, we're just taking pictures. It's not a video camera. So, like, you got to go a little bit slower.
I'm holding a gun.
Yeah. Right. So, but yeah, they had all these scenarios set up, and they were blowing stuff up and
that's fun, man.
Walking in slow motion, the whole nine. I was in it to win it. So I'm excited to see how it looks.
Probably crazy to see the budget they put together for these games. So that's just an operation.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Now, where did you shoot it?
I don't even know. They took us to the middle of nowhere.
Really?
Yeah. And it was just kind of
like
playing. It was a secluded area, and they had all these buildings. Like, it looked like we were in
like paintballing.
Yeah,
kind of like one of those like setups.
Yeah,
right?
but it looked like we were in like Afghanistan or something.
Oh, they did all the fullest details
crazy.
of all that.
Posters hanging of, you know what I mean? It was crazy.
That's lit.
So now, how long did the photo shoot itself take?
2 full days, and then we had like a day of training, and then we had the fittings and all that stuff. But by the end of it, by day 2, I was like, I was hurting.
Yeah, that's
in a good way. In a good way, yeah. Because we had all the heavy stuff, and I wish I could show you guys pictures, but I mean, they had like the 3D or the night vision goggles, but had like the 4 things. It was
crazy.
Nuts. Yeah.
Wow, I can't wait to see it. So now, Jamaal, this appearance in the BMW commercial, what was that about?
That was cool. It was just that was in Scottsdale. We shot that in Scottsdale, Arizona. I mean, it was what it was. It was kind of unexpected, but I'm like, okay, I'm in the BMW commercial.
That's lit.
That's cool. That's cool.
Yep.
So, are you happy with the direction your career is going in, as far as the modeling and acting side of it?
Yes, 100%. And I think it's everything that's happening in my life. It's aligned, and I think that's important for people that are looking for multiple streams of income, is to make sure everything aligns, because it just makes it that much easier.
Yes.
So with it aligned so perfectly, and it wasn't forced. It was more the stuff that it just kind of you kind of draw it in, and you get to pick. So I mean, what's happened this year, I'm just blown away with. Like when I was writing it, I was like, I didn't even because I'm just going. I'm just running, thanking God, running, thanking God, running, thanking God. And it's only March.
Right.
That's exactly right.
I know when
when
I asked you to send me your updated accomplishments, and I saw all this, I was like,
okay,
wow, 1 year, all this has happened. I couldn't be happier. for you. Now you're going to appear on Basketball Wives season 8.
That's right.
What in the world is that? Please let us know what that's going to be about. Can you?
You didn't marry a basketball wife, did you?
No. Nothing against them. I love them all. But no, Jackie Christie is a good friend. So she hits me every now and then, and she's like, hey, we're going to film a segment. And I'll never forget the first time she invited me, because I never really watched the show, but I've heard a lot about it. Mm-hmm. And, I've been on a couple other reality shows, and a lot of stuff is scripted.
Right.
You know what I mean? So it's like, this isn't even really reality. Mm-hmm. But theirs is really reality. Like, full on reality. And every now and then, they'll say, hey, just talk about this real quick. But it's not scripted, because they got into an argument the first time I was on it, and they were like, cut. And they kept arguing. I'm like,
wow, this is a real argument.
This is real life. Well, why are you not recording this?
Yeah.
So, but it's always a fun time when you go on it, and this season's going to be crazy.
That's cool. So we have that to look forward to for you also.
Yeah, we're going to be peeping that.
I know. Now, when you say, the other thing I wanted to ask you about is right here in Los Angeles, there's so many opportunities for people to get into acting and all of that. If someone were to say, I'm an 18-year-old or whatever, and I want to get into acting, what advice would you give them?
You got to be ready to hear no. And I think that was, at the beginning, that was the hardest thing for me to understand.
Definitely.
Because, your worth, and you know where you want to go, and your talent, capability, and this, that, and the other, but you have to understand that you're not the look that every client wants.
Right.
For this reason or that reason. So even with last time that we spoke, it's like you'll get 100 no's just to get that one yes.
That's right.
But you can't let it mess with your mental. You just got to keep going and just keep getting those no's, because it just makes you one step closer to that yes.
Yeah, and learning you can't please everybody.
All.
You're always going to have, you're going to have a bunch of people that love everything you do.
Yep.
And there's going to be people that you can't do anything right for.
Yep.
And no matter what level of success, I mean, you can pick any celebrity, any person, right? And look at all the haters on their comments. You're the weakest. I hated your last movie. Your last movie sucked. You don't even look good in that photo. And it's man, I mean, that's what I was always telling people who are coming up. I mean, if you got guys level of Drake and Dr. Dre and Eminem, and they're getting dogged out all the time, and you hear what they're talking about in their lyrics about how much discouragement they get, you can't be crushed by discouragement before you're at the top.
Right.
Because they're getting discouraged at that level.
But in the moment, it hurts.
Of course.
In the moment, you have to figure out how to get past it. Because if it's happening to someone else, you're like, oh, it's happening to them, and you can feel for them or whatever. But when it's you under attack, you're the one who's feeling it. The process of getting through that as you, the person, is different than watching it happen to someone else.
Right. And I would say it's important to learn how to deal with that as a person yourself at that level, when you start, because just like you said, if you get to, or when you get to that level of Drake or however high you're trying to get, it's just going to be magnified. So if you can't handle it when
you're going to crumble.
Deal with it at this level.
You're going to crumble.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, no, I talk about that a lot. And so tell us a little bit about how you get good support from your family, from your friends. How's your circle evolved over the years?
I'm a very strong family man. My little baby sister just had a baby. Congratulations!
Oh, congratulations!
Yeah, so I'm an uncle. But yeah, I'm really tightly knit with my family, and I have a strong. I don't call them a fan base. I call them believers. So because I like to preach a lot, minister through my social media, and incorporate it into the modeling and acting and stuff like that. So
Instagram.
And it's cool touching lives like that in that manner, because they will uplift you instead of bringing you down. I very rarely get somebody that say something crazy, but it does happen.
Oh, I like that.
That's cool. Now, when you are on a set, because I know you have to go, you're traveling a lot now, more than you were before, and you're on set a lot more. What are 3 of the things that keep you going? Because, everybody thinks it's glamorous all the time, and it's anything but glamorous. So what are 2 or 3 helpful hints you would give someone to keep them together when they do get to a space where they can have the luxury of working on a set?
I think, number one, going back to the whole aligning thing, it's important that you're healthy. It's important that you're getting enough rest, and on some of these sets and scenes, it's unfortunate, but you can't rest that much.
Right.
So, I have a show coming up that we're going to start filming in April, and my first week, it's all the way that they have set it up, and it kind of messes with you because they're going to switch the days, so we don't start shooting until 6 at night until 6 a.m. because they need it dark the entire time. So it's like I got to completely switch. You know, it's
that's
like,
right.
Yeah, it's
switch
crazy.
your day around. Like I don't get a day anymore. It's going to be night. So I mean, you just always got to prepare. You got to stay healthy, and more than anything, you just want to stay focused and make sure you're always tentative because these people are watching you.
Right.
And it's the way that you book more jobs. So if you're on set with a nasty attitude and
That's
you're like,
right.
oh, I got to film all night, they're not going to call you back.
No.
As opposed to
exactly.
if you're there lighting up the room and saying all your lines and adding value to their set,
Exactly.
they'll call you back. The director will call you.
I mean, and that's part of the lifestyle. I mean, you got to be built for it. I mean, with the movie stuff.
Yep.
I mean, I did just a music video, and every scene was dawn.
Yep.
So every single time we shot, I was up at 2:45 a.m. and had to be in Pasadena at 4 something and change.
Smiling.
Yeah, smiling, and it's like that was just a music video.
Right.
I couldn't imagine those movies where like the whole movie is like in dusk and dawn hours, and you got to do stuff like that. So yeah, no, I understand, man. It's serious work, and people don't see that. Like they see actors, you know, and models, and they think it's like. I did a little modeling back in the day for L'Oreal Paris, and it's a lot of work.
You see how we snuck that in there?
Let's snuck that in there.
Yeah,
That little sneak it in there.
Yeah, but I'm saying that was a small thing. You know what I mean? That wasn't even that big a thing, and it was a full on workout just standing there for all that time.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? People don't have any appreciation for that. Like, oh, actors and models have it easy. Actually, nah. Like, trust me, you'd want to rush back to your cubicle.
Yeah,
for real.
It's definitely. Yeah, you just got to prepare yourself because even with the lines, like the people that. When you're watching a movie and you see that movie and you see that little 2 minutes of like somebody saying one line, like you have to realize they said that probably 50 different times in 50 different ways.
Exactly.
So it's different.
Man, that's inspiring, man. I like your story, bro.
Thank you.
Yeah, definitely.
I like yours too. I still need your stylist. I'm not kidding.
Oh, well, you're looking at him, baby.
Oh,
never let him dress me. You feel what I'm saying?
all the way. Okay.
See how we do that?
Now, Jamaal, where do you see yourself in the next 5 years?
You know, it's crazy because it's almost like I'm done trying to predict where I'm supposed to be at because I've already surpassed where I thought I was going to be, and I'm doing something completely different than I could have ever imagined. So now it's more of just living in the moments.
That's
cool. Sky's the limit.
Yeah, it's going where it's going.
That's so cool. That's so cool.
That's the attitude because you're being open to the universe.
Yeah.
And we talk about that a lot. I mean, I'm always encourage people that, you know, be open to the universe and be open to adapting. Right. You know, I'm sure you had one vision of yourself just being purely football.
NFL.
And you had to.
For the rest of my life.
Right. And just and NFL contracts. And so a lot of people in your situation, they crumble after that. They can't even pick it up. So, you know, it's almost like more of an achievement that you did what you did after having to face the setbacks and disappointment, because people don't realize what being an artist and being an athlete is such bravery, and people don't really appreciate that enough, you know?
I like that.
So, you know, I mean, it's true, and it's good to see somebody who's doing that for real. I wanted to ask you a little bit more like about this thing with Isagenix. Like, did you like, obviously you use it yourself, you know what I mean? But can you just tell something a little bit else? Like, I'm just curious myself, like what other kind of diet do you have based around it in the mornings, or like in like what food you avoid? Because I tell people a lot, what reason I bring it up, not just because this is not a nutrition show, but healthy food, healthy exercise leads to a healthy mind, leads to smart decisions, leads to good work ethic. Like, it's all connected. If you're eating sugar and junk, you're going to feel lazy and tired. You're not going to get it done. So,
and you have brain fog too. You can't think when you're high on sugar.
Can I dig into this a little bit?
Yeah, go for it.
So Jill Bowman, who's located in Scottsdale, she introduced it to me maybe in 2010, which she booked me for a photo shoot, and it was a fitness photo shoot. And I showed up and I did the fitness photo shoot. And I used to manage a solar company back at the time. So I worked all day, and I showed up to her gym, and I was dog tired. Like, I was just like, but I'm doing a fitness shoot, so, you know, I'm in shape.
Right.
And this woman comes in the gym, older lady. She's running laps around me.
Yeah.
Pew, 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 pew. I'm like, what is she on? Like, and she walked straight up to me and she goes, son, you're unhealthy. And I was like, what are you talking about? I'm unhealthy. Like, I'm doing a fitness shoot for you. And she was like, no, you need to take this product. And so she introduced it to me back then.
She a hustler.
She's my guardian angel. That's what she is. She is. But she got me on the project, or the product. And when I put it in my body, because it's all natural, it's superfoods. So it's what our bodies is supposed to be consuming. And even as opposed to the food, I still eat clean here, like chicken and brown rice. And on Sundays, I go in those Sundays. You can catch me at the local buffet, eating whatever's in front of me.
You deserve it, man.
Yeah.
It's one cheat day.
But it's with the product, it's like, even with the stuff that we're putting in our body, it's like we as Americans, like, we like to stretch our dollars. So we like to inject our animals with stuff so they grow bigger and bigger. You know what I mean? And we like to put herbicides and pesticides and stuff. So it's not healthy. We're still putting toxins in our body.
Talk about that a lot. It's very true.
Yeah. So it's all natural, and it's all everything's natured in the UK. But when I came out here, I acquired, like I was touching on earlier, a supplement sponsorship, which they're like, we're going to give you free product and cut you a check. So at the time, it's because it's so expensive out here, I was just like, I need that check. So I went with them, and I went with them for a contract. But
Nice.
I wasn't getting the proper nutrition. I was getting the proper supplements, but to go up and down and be able to lift good, but it wasn't the lifestyle, the full thing. You know what I mean?
Right.
So just recently when I went back out there to Arizona, I bumped into her again, and she was like, you're not healthy. And I was like, ugh. And so she gave me the product, and I started taking the product again, and it was just the same thing happened. I didn't change the way I was eating or working out, but I did change the product, and I added the product, and I started leaning out again, and I just felt more alive and full of energy, and I was able to function and sleep and clarity better. And then I didn't really get into the business side of it until maybe like a month and a half after.
Nice.
And she just told me, she's like, Jamaal, I want to show you something. Now, you don't have to go this route. You can just keep doing what you're doing. But she's one of the highest paid people in the company. So she's a multi-millionaire, and her team is moving really fast. So she sent me a screenshot of a residual that she had built for me, and I didn't even know it. And I saw the screenshot, and I was like, excuse me, what is this? And she was like, this is the income that you're earning right now. And I was like, okay, I want to learn more. So I just kind of ran in full speed with it. And I knew I believe in the product and what it does and how it makes me feel. So I think that's the best thing about it. Is I don't really have to sell it to anybody.
Right.
It's more of like if someone's like, hey, what are you doing? I just give my testimony.
Oh, wow. Well, you know what, Jamaal? I love everything that you're doing. You've got multiple streams of income down to a science. And I love it. Yes. I love it. And I love the way it looks, because sometimes when you tell a person, you need to have multiple streams of income, they think it's, I need to have stocks, bonds, mutual funds. I need to have, investments in homes. I need to have, and all of that's great too. But you have to make the money before you can invest the money.
Right. And multiple streams of earned income is just as important as multiple streams of passive. It's all part of the same hustle.
It is.
Yeah.
So I love the fact that you have your hands in several different pots. But what's most important, like you said, is they're all in alignment with not just what you do, but who you are as a person.
Amen.
So now you got to promise to come back.
Yes.
You will come back.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, whatever you want today.
You know what? Again, Jamaal, thank you so much for coming in. When we come back, we're going to get all of your contact information so that everyone knows how to follow you and reach you. And we'll do that when we come back.
Beautiful.
We'll be right back.
Sounds good. Hello, everyone. We're back. I'm DJ Bander. With me, as always, is Shar, and you're listening to Lunch with the Finance Bunch on Dash Talk X. We're here with Jamaal. It's been an amazing interview, Jamaal. Thank you so much for your time today.
Thank you guys for having me.
Really good to link up with you. I want our listeners to have a chance to be able to connect with you, to be able to learn more about you. Why don't you tell them where you would prefer them to find you, your social media, Instagram, all that good stuff. Let's let them know.
Definitely. So the personal for Instagram is Mr. Lewis, Lewis, and then the number 82.
Okay.
For the clothing line, it's stayblessed_CO. So those are the two major ones that I check on a daily basis.
Cool.
And it's
very nice.
That's cool.
And you have is there like an email if people want to reach out to you, get information about your clothing?
Yeah, definitely. You can email me. It's still my name. It's Jamaal Lewis. The number 82@gmail.com. And then the website for Stay Blessed is www.stayblessed.co.
Very cool.
Very cool.
Well, this has been quite an episode, Ms. Shar.
This has been quite an episode. I knew it will be. It would be. Jamaal never, ever, ever.
No disappointment here.
Never, ever. So, and I just want to say how proud I am of you. Thank you. I can see your bright future and just where you've come in 1 year. It's just amazing.
Inspiring, bro, for sure.
Very, very inspiring. Very inspiring. So you promised to come back on. That's good.
I do.
We'll delve more into some other things that you're into when we get back.
Amen.
Good.
God is good. Love him out loud.
God is so, so good. And this is Lunch with the Finance Bunch. I'm Miss Charlene.
And I am DJ Bander. And you're listening to Dash Talk X. Thank you for watching, everyone. Be sure to find us on Instagram @The Finance Bunch. And listen to us every Tuesday on Dash Talk X.